Hi, I'm Councilman Ed Shadid, and thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about what I think is the most exciting business, new business in Oklahoma City, and it's not just me that thinks it. I want to welcome Dirk Spears of Spears New Technology, a company that's getting not just accolades within Oklahoma, but throughout the country and the world, getting accolades from Europe and Asia and throughout the country. Can you talk a little bit about what it is that Spears New Technology does?
Sure. What we do life cycle management of advanced battery packs, and then we also make energy storage systems. And the reason we started the business, you know the cliche, always skate where the puck is going to be.
Right.
And we firmly believe that we will all drive electric cars in the future, and it's already starting to happen. And also renewables will take over the grid because they're cheaper, they're better, but they need energy storage. And by combining the two, we started our company. And one of the things we do is we repurpose battery packs coming out of vehicles and we put it in stationary energy storage.
So some people refer to you as like a hospital for electric vehicle batteries.
Yeah.
Is that a fair?
Yeah, in a hospital, because one thing we do is if we get battery packs in from dealers, we work really on behalf of the OEMs. We take care of those battery packs. We see if we can get them back into the vehicle because that's the highest return on investment. But if we fail there, then they go to an old age home, which is stationary energy storage. So we are both hospital and old age home.
And so you have clients from throughout the world that send their batteries to Oklahoma City in your business?
Yeah, no, at the moment, the service we offer is a global service. It can work for every OEM. We basically work within the United States. We work with companies like General Motors, Ford, Nissan Japan, but also Nissan USA, Eaton, EVgo. But sometimes we export battery packs or energy storage units to Asia or to Europe. And we expect to open up in Europe and Asia as well within the next year.
Right. I think one of the reasons it's so exciting to me is that if you're right, which I think you are, that electric vehicles are going to become more and more commonplace, then it's important for that industry to be in Oklahoma City. And it seems like you're leading the effort for electric vehicle technology and industry in Oklahoma City.
I'm a firm believer electric vehicles will happen. One reason is they're more fun to drive. It is a better product. Ford a couple of years ago did research or a poll with 10,000 people who already drove electric cars. Will they go back to a traditional car or will they stay with an electric vehicle? And about 93% of all those people said, no, we will never go back to a combustion engine. And I thought it was remarkable because electric vehicles are still, early on. This is, first generation, second generation now. So I thought it was remarkable. What is the big hindrance for electric vehicles? That when they started, the price was relatively high. But that is coming down rapidly. You can now buy a Chevy Bolt, which is a terrific car, for $30,000. You don't have to put gasoline in it. You maybe can drive for 80 cents per day. It has 238-mile range. At one Car of the Year award. Tesla is coming out with the Model 3 later this year. Similar car, similar price. That is unheard of. That was unheard of, 4 or 5 years ago. We believe, and when we talk to the OEMs and the battery manufacturers, that electric cars could be cost competitive compared to a combustion engine by 2022, 2023. Now then, it's game over. Who enjoys putting gasoline in a car? No one.
Right.
And then you have to pay for it as well. It's not a good model.
There are hundreds of parts in a combustion engine, but very, very few in an electric
Yeah,
motor.
and I think that is one of the reasons the OEMs are really starting to get interested in this. Because if you look in a conventional drivetrain, you have probably 7,000 unique parts between the transmission and the engine, of which many, maybe 1,000, maybe plus, are moving parts. And when it moves, you have wear and tear. And when you have wear and tear, you have to replace it one day. With an electric car in the powertrain, you maybe have 40 unique parts, of which very few actually move. So it is much more reliable, it will last much longer. And for an OEM, it's much easier to put together. Because those 7,000 unique parts, you all have to get in your factory at the right time, at the same time. Then you have to assemble them, and then you have to support that car for 20 years. With an electric car, it's much easier.
And the most important part seems to be the battery, which you would be working on.
Yeah, and you know, we are surprised actually how good the battery is. You know, the battery in an electric vehicle is not the same as the battery in your power drill, in your iPhone,
Right.
in your computer. It's the Usain Bolt of batteries. And what we see is they will last very, very long. But you know, it's a complex assembly, so sometimes something goes wrong.
Right.
A bolt, a sensor, a wire, and that's what we take care of.
You know, about 70% of all oil goes to transportation, and the bulk of that is for cars.
Yeah.
So if you're correct that we will have this wide-scale, widespread transition to electric vehicles, that would impact the oil industry, I would think, and increase the need for diversification of your economy. Can you talk about what you see for Oklahoma in the next 10, 15, 20 years in terms of the impact of electric vehicles?
You know, it's not only electric vehicles, and it's not really what I think. It's you know, what does the oil industry think? And there was a great article in the Financial Times maybe half a year ago of the CFO of Shell, and Shell is one of the leading oil companies in the world. And the CFO is a very well-regarded, very smart, very experienced person. And he said a couple of things. He said, number one, we will see peak oil, as in peak demand, within the next 3, 4, 5 years. He said, and then it should go down. He said, and eventually, late 30s, early 40s, we as a company have to be out of the fossil fuel industry. So if an oil company like Shell is already saying that, then you know, you take notice. Total, also big French oil company, they made billion-dollar investments in the last couple of years. One in a solar company, and number two in a battery company. That was last year. So these are strategic investments because they know they have to diversify. If you now start to look at the big oil companies that they're going into wind energy, and those guys have money, they have great engineering, they know how to run platforms in the ocean, so they also know how to run wind turbines in the ocean. And they are making big plays in wind energy. So they know the writing is on the wall, and they're diversifying. And then for Oklahoma, of course we have to diversify. Oklahoma has the potential to become the energy state in the United States. But energy means a lot of things. And I think that's where the opportunities for Oklahoma. We have oil and gas, but you know, oil will be on the return. We have wind, and it's doing really, really well. And we have a lot of wind because it's always windy here. And I think this is the 4th or 5th brightest state in the Union. So we have a huge opportunity for solar. And it's sad that we are not really utilizing that. I think that's a great opportunity. Also, you know, you guys are always looking for creating jobs. I know that now more people are employed in clean tech, in renewables like solar and wind in the United States than in oil, gas and coal exploration. So that shifted the last 1 or 2 years ago. So that is a big inflection point. So we need to embrace those technologies because we have them, We have solar, or we have sun, a lot of sun in Oklahoma. We have a lot of wind. We need to embrace them. And we have to remain or become the energy state.
Kind of a diversified energy, all
Yeah,
forms of energy.
absolutely. Because the growth, if you look into new energy generation in the last couple of years, where it's coming from, it is wind and it is solar.
So those are hundreds of thousands of jobs that you referenced. Good paying jobs, stable jobs, a lot of construction jobs in the solar industry, but we're not really getting them in Oklahoma. What is blocking us? What is the impediment to growing that industry?
I think knowledge. I don't think people fully realize what's happening. And in a way, I can understand it. It's the advances in technology are so rapid in solar and wind that I think in the United States, wind is now, if you do power purchase agreements, is being traded for less than 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Solar is slightly higher, but I think it has the potential to go lower. Solar is 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour. A couple of years ago, coal was the cheapest. Coal was 9 cents per kilowatt hour. 8.5, 9 cents per kilowatt hour. So now solar and wind already became cheaper than coal.
Right.
That's unheard of. It will become price competitive with gas, natural gas. It's happening.
Right. You have a great story of how quickly you had to open your doors and start your business. I think just within a few weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find spaces to open a business like that. Are there things that the city can do to help facilitate entrepreneurs who come up with ideas like you have?
I have to say I'm very impressed by the city. I think you guys do a great job.
Great.
Relatively speaking. Much better than the people in the capital.
That's a low bar, though.
It's a low bar, but I was never a big fan. I would never thought that I would live here in Oklahoma City, and now I do. And Oklahoma City, you can see every year you can see progress,
Right.
which is fantastic to see. But things I miss is like I don't see solar panels in Oklahoma City, and I think that's sad. I think we could have more electric vehicles on the road here. If we build houses, let's wire them for charging stations. I could not charge my electric car here. Not that I need to, because I have plenty of range. But it's nice if you would see more charging stations in Oklahoma City. If the new convention center, for example,
Right.
Would have solar panels. I think those things are important. And also it is important for us as a city to show the rest of the world, we are leading. We are a leading city. We are on the cutting edge. I think that is very important. I think that's a very important message.
How could people that are more interested in your business find you, find out information about you, maybe even tour the facility? Or...
Google us. There are quite a few stories on us. PBS will do, or is doing, or just did some filming. So Google us, S&T, or Spears New Technologies, hate to say that. Call me. We have a website, spearsnewtechnologies.com.
Okay.
Email us, text us, call us, and we will set something up.
Great. And those that were interested in maybe learning more as a field, as a vocation, as a job, how would what kind of education would
electrical
they pursue?
engineers.
Yes.
If you would do anything, I think everything will become electric, or is already electric. Look at the what you have in your pocket, your iPhone. It is either code, computers, or it will be electric. Engines, motors, control devices, everything will be electric.
Great. So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for everything you're doing for the city.
No, thank you.